And Frank LeBeouf, if your daughter wasn't married, she'd be in big trouble. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if I keep that in.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Would you believe it? Todd Boehly speaks. Not to Chelsea fans, to Forbes. Yo people, what's poppin'? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well. Genuinely do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. Ooh, the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on everything Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it for whatever it's worth. More importantly, asking for yours. Ladies and gentlemen, back in the office today. Of course, this story is Todd Boehly spoken to Forbes. Why don't you just speak to the Chelsea fans, you silly sausage? I guess this is what owners do. They speak to big financial platforms directly, and they let their sporting directors do everything else. But we, the people, the Chelsea fans, have heard from no one. At least words have been spoken, I suppose. We're going to use an article from the Evening Standard to reflect on his comments and try and understand them and navigate them together, you and I. So thanks for joining me. Hopefully we will turn that ruddy corner that we're hoping to turn as a football club. But when we do, and we will, I'll be here for you, ladies and gentlemen, so thanks for supporting the content. If you want to, it's easy. Simply like and subscribe. If you choose to subscribe, you should hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. I don't think it's my best one. Sweet, sweet bell, baby. Whatever, let's just get into it. It's the Express, not the Evening Standard. Apologies. Charlie Gordon writes, Chelsea co-owner Todd Boehly believes that the passion among the fan base is both, quote, good and bad news. As he scrambles to steady the ship at Stamford Bridge. Supporters and former players have started voicing their angers against the boardroom as the Blues splutter to the end of a second consecutive disappointing season. Yeah, a little bit of context. Of course, Todd Boehly is the Chelsea chairman, or the chairman of the board at the moment. He owns, remember, about 13% of Chelsea. He's not the Chelsea owner, he's just the current chairman. Clearlake Capital own over 60% of Chelsea, and in a few years' time they will take the chairmanship. Is it chairmanship? Or they will select their own chairman. But of course, it's always been fun and easy to aim our emotions at Todd Boehly, because he's always floating around, isn't he? Let's read on. Frank LeBeouf, who spent 5 years at Chelsea in the prime of his career, it's worth mentioning that I'm in love with his daughter as well, but we move, was raging after watching his former side draw 2-2 with Burnley on Saturday, with Boehly and the boardroom bearing the brunt of his criticism. LeBeouf said this, sorry, but the people on the board have destroyed the club. The Frenchman told ESPN. That's what you have to face. As long as you don't have people to rely on, meaning experienced players, you can't build anything. It's unprofessional and unfair to the people who love this club. I'm fed up. 10-man Burnley should have won the game. I want to congratulate the fans for still being able to go to Stamford Bridge and watch that. Before we move on and speak about these quotes from Boehly, yeah, I'm kind of like with you, Frank LeBeouf. It's kind of a great name, by the way. It means the beef. Frank the Beef. Feels like a sort of, you should be a boxer or something. Anyway, look, man. After that Burnley game, I was hella emotional as well. I was exasperated, confused. I posted a picture of Jose Mourinho on my Instagram. It was a dark time for me. But I dig it, man. I get it. I was right there with him. And yeah, I mean, to a degree, I don't want to... Look, man, I'm so bored of sitting on the fence. But I do recognise, for the multitude of reasons I've explained on this channel for 1,000 times, to a degree, the club needed to be dismantled down to the core. I'm not going to say the words Chelsea needed to be destroyed a bit, because I don't want my club to be destroyed. But there's an understanding that things needed to be taken back, rebuilt with an amount of probable pain that came with it. None of us could see this much pain, and it sucks. I still have hope we will develop and turn good and come good at some point, but yeah, I get it. I'm never going to criticise anyone for being seriously upset with the situation, because that is your right. And Frank LeBeouf, if your daughter wasn't married, she'd be in big trouble. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if I keep that in. Boehly, along with the co-owner Boehly and director Jose Feliciano, were mocked up as clowns on stickers spread across the Stamford Bridge last month. Extortionate transfer spending has failed to yield results on the pitch, and Pochettino could become another managerial casualty this summer. Alright, it's all going pretty well then, is it? Speaking on the recent hostility, Boehly told Forbes this, quote, "We just need to let the process develop and give them the time to go from being unbelievable individual players with great skills to fold into a team." The good news is people care so much, and the bad news is that people care so much. That leads to times when they're frustrated with the team and the owners. I get that. But we just have to continue to stay on the course. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. He's sort of recognising that fans are passionate and saying, we don't want this, but we've got to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan, people! We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Boehly has spearheaded Chelsea's boardroom since Clearlake acquired the club from Roman Abramovich in 2022. However, as part of the agreement with Clearlake, the American billionaire is set to be replaced by a representative of their choosing in 2027. That's Clearlake's representative for the chairman. Blues fans will hope that things are in order long before then. The club has splashed 9-figure sums on Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo over the past 18 months, but they remain on course for a second consecutive bottom half Premier League finish. Saturday's draw at home to Burnley was particularly damning. The relegation-threatened Clarets came back from behind twice to snatch a point despite being a man down. I just want to wash that off me now, that Burnley result. Interesting enough, I looked at some stats. Chelsea is still like maybe odds on to finish in the top 8, which is qualification for Europe. Look, football is such a changeable emotional game, isn't it? I mean, we've been awful for 2 years, so I don't mean that like in the grand sense, we've been just bad, but in the more immediate sense, I heard people talking about Chelsea in terms of our form since like Christmas. It's not actually awful. I think we've only lost twice, and the home record is going to be really good in terms of the last time we've lost. I think it's like 1 loss in 14 or something. But that doesn't tell the whole story, does it? But despite that, and the way other results are going, we are still favourites to like sort of pull our socks up a little bit and finish above Newcastle and Brighton and whoever else. Are Wolves still above us? I just don't look at the table anymore for my own health reasons. But it's become more of an existential problem than getting the odd result and qualifying for the Europa League conference. Though I do want that. I want European games next season. I don't care if it's in some friggin' McDonald's league in whatever country. I want to see Chelsea go and play those extra games. Rotate the teams, go to different cultures, experience different stadiums. Do it! See it! You know, also, it's a competition we've never won, and we could win, and then we could truly sing we've won it all. And Man City, you can't sing that. I don't even think they've got a Europa League, do they? Truly prestigious Conference League. Look, I genuinely want us to qualify for that. 2 seasons out of Europe is not for me, I'm afraid. Just any Europe I will take. So let's bring it back to Boehly a little bit here. Look, what else is he gonna say? It is frustrating that we only ever hear our owner speak in like financial conferences or being interviewed by Forbes. It's kind of like unsavory to a degree, but I think it's probably by design. With this consortium, they probably think like, right, we'll go wave that. Roman Abramovich never spoke to anyone. He did like 1 interview when he bought Chelsea, and understandably he didn't really do any other media for probably a multitude of reasons. But Boehly, less so Boehly, they came to Chelsea, waved around, said, yeah, we bought Chelsea, we're gonna sort this out, make more money, and keep this up and invest in the team, build a new stadium, everything's gonna be alright. And that was it. But I reckon it's probably by design. Don't speak to people. Let the other people speak to people. But that's why we're frustrated. And to be honest, like, this is a multi-billion-pound corporation here, Chelsea or Blue Co. They've got to know the amount of people, whether it's just the not even Chelsea fans, football fans, journalists, media broadcasters, everyone's saying, well, you should just speak to these Chelsea fans. Just tell them what's going on. Just say, yeah, it's not acceptable, but, to speak to them. But clearly, someone's saying, no, don't speak to them until just keep going until it works. Don't speak to them because, for some reason that's not going to help us. Either that or just no one out of them has got any balls. But I refuse to believe that. That can't be true. It's probably true. Oh, look, it's so frustrating, isn't it? I just want to see a better defence, more games won. Of course, here on the channel, we will, as we get nearer to the summer transfer window, we'll talk about targets. Chelsea will do business. Players will be sold. Players will be purchased. Players will return from injury, and hopefully for good this time. I'm looking at Nkunku, Lavia, Reece James, Wesley Fofana. These guys could all be starters in the Chelsea team, or most of them probably should be. You know? I just want my team to function on the pitch. Whether it's not with Pochettino, with another manager. I did a video yesterday, I believe, on Thiago Motta. I think he's a really underrated and up-and-coming coach, and I spoke about how his profile would actually suit Chelsea, probably. I mean, I don't know how fluent his English is, but he speaks other languages, plays the same formation, he coaches a very young team, he's overachieving, he's young manager, I imagine he hasn't got a big ego and he'd be good working upwards, that sort of thing. For the moment, though, I feel like the microscope at most, and yes, I feel like Pochettino's underperformed, largely underperformed, even within these very difficult parameters that he has to work in. I still think he's underperformed. I don't hate Pochettino. I don't think, I still understand why he was hired. I still understand how it made sense. I don't actually disagree with the hiring process of Pochettino. In fact, I endorsed it. So I've got to basically sit with that. I think probably the people who are most under the spotlight are the sporting directors. Like, Stuart and Winstanley. Are these guys qualified? Are these guys qualified for this insane task? And insanely ambitious task. Look, man, Chelsea's owners, Blueco, they had to remove themselves entirely from the previous stewardship. They're still dealing with problems from that. They understand how with the new PSR rules, it was unsustainable. They needed to make a new model. They found advantageous ways of navigating it, the amortization, which forced the Premier League and UEFA to change their rules. Good work was done. They generated a lot of revenue with player sales. They got the wages down. They used links with Saudi to get rid of certain players. Certain good work was done. But they sort of went, right, now the stuff on the pitch is up to you guys, manager and sporting directors. We've given you the money. We've given you the players that you wanted. We've let you interview this coach for friggin' months and months and months. You make it work. Because ultimately, this is what Man City did. Abu Dhabi, you sporting directors and infrastructure and hierarchy, will put you in place, and it's up for you to, bleed down success. And the mistake might be from the owners hiring these sporting directors. But for the biggest failure for me at the moment is at the sporting directors. Because until they sort out what is available to the Chelsea manager, whether that's medical team making players available, or just the balance of the squad, the seniority of the squads for a bit more maturity, that's all up to the construction from the sporting directors, right? So they're the ones that should be under the microscope the most, if you ask me. And again, Poch for me never was the dream guy, but I was totally fine with him. And maybe he can sort himself out, I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting to see Boehly speak, or to hear Boehly speak, or to read Boehly speak. He's basically saying, yeah, it's bad, fans are passionate, they want it to work, we want it to work, the only thing we can do is stick with the plan and wait for it to work. Pretty boring, eh? Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment down below. I'll be very keen to read your thoughts, as always, here on Football Therapy. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support. Thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing, hitting the bell, and all that lovely stuff. And I hope to see you back here very soon. Peace.